Hey everybody, I'm going to show you how I can make some really cool alpha maps using the Flow Organic particle brushes with flow maps in Corel Painter 2015. This is not the default interface. If you just slow down or pause the video, you can pretty much figure out what I've got going on here. This is really not a tutorial about that, but I'll show you really quickly. Over here I have it's just a custom palette I made with some of the specific commands that I was using on a regular basis for this. I've got the basic toolbar over here, command bar, I've got some of this over here. Now if you want, you can go here and look at all this stuff, but it's actually just the toolbox, property bar, brush selector, layers, let's see, the brush control panels, and these: opacity, dab profile, size, brush calibration, dab profile, particle, general, and particle, flow particles. That's these. Right? So this is really the particle general. If you hover over your cursor, you get a pretty good example or a pretty good explanation of exactly what's going to happen. Now, if you're wanting a little bit more, you can go into here and let me see, info palettes. Here's the info on the particles. If you've ever used a particle system in a 3D application or in After Effects or in any of the other applications you may be familiar with, they're all kind of doing the same idea, right? This stuff is not that hard once you've played with it. If you haven't played with it, it takes a little bit of tinkering, but once you've done your tinkering and had some fun with it, it starts to kind of get very powerful. Let's see, particles general. This is the big one where it kind of tells you what concepts are going on over here, right? Again, you guys can read that on your own. This is not what this is about. So basically what happens, I've got a simple template so I can get this started anytime I want. I just got a canvas and a layer. Now then, over here, the dab profile. This, in these flow maps and flow organic particle brush, they have a little bit of effect, but it's not that noticeable. I'll show you real quick. This is the flow map that's actually behind here, controlling where these particles want to congregate. You'll see what I'm doing. I'm holding down the shift button right now just to make it useful. Just go straight down, right? I'm showing you the dab profiles. They're almost inconsequential, but I have that open because it does have a little bit of an effect. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. All right, but so it doesn't really matter. I'll just go back to what generally shows up. Undo, 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 undo. Now, I'm not going to go into this quickly right now, but down here, these expressions, all of these things flow into here, and this has a big effect on what happens over here on your canvas. Okay, that said, the flow maps control where these particles are going to want to congregate. You can do lots of stuff with these flow maps. You've got your scale. We'll change it. This changes everything. Contrast, exactly what you're expecting. This is very black and white, so you don't get a whole lot to it. We'll go back to 100 on that. Go back to 100 on that. I wish there was a reset button on these, but you have to type it in. But that said, okay, here we go. If you look carefully, you'll see the fact that this stuff starts to try to congregate into those positions. Right? I'm going to make that a little bigger. It goes a little faster. Right? If you were to notice, some of these are actually, if you look closely, you'll find exactly where they're at up in here, right? Let me see, get over here, turn that off, enlarge that, and you'll see it's having its effect, right? It's not particularly the easiest one to see. This is just a good random texturing, right? Whoops, we get another one. All right, not too tough. Pretty responsive, you know. quick interesting thing is, you have the small ones. I'm using the shift key to just constrain this up and down. You can change this on the fly, and what it does, you can use the same flow map in different sizes to control things. Give me another little. Now then, the flow maps are pretty interesting. There's lots of that come with it. This is a pretty cool one. Let me see, go back down about 100. Pretty geometric, so depending on what you got going on, make it real small, you see some other stuff going on. It almost looks like a textured paper. Go real big, and you really start to get that scale effect, right? Now I'm constraining that right now with the shift button. You can go sideways, it doesn't matter. Yeah, undo, 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 undo. We can follow basically your direction of your painting. Right? Pretty cool stuff. You gotta play with that a little bit, you can get a lot of different effects. Right? Now, quick example. It's almost ready to go, right? A lot of times when I'm doing these things, I go, oh, okay, I like it, okay, good. Just drop it to the canvas, turn it into a negative. And again, these are all up in there. You can find those yourself. This is not what that's about. And once it's all flattened out, I bring that equalize up, and I can start tweaking this some. Right? And again, it's organic stuff, so you can get away with a lot of stuff. I mean, again, if this was an alpha in Zbrush for sculpting, there's only so much you want to do with this, because all those little details are not going to show up on a sculpting unless you've just got maybe 20 million polygons, 10 million polygons at least. I'll show you a little bit how this works on a model in Zbrush a little bit later. But yeah, that's kind of useful. You could see all kinds of little ways to use that. Right? Save as. I could go in and just kind of pretty much send these wherever I want. Okay, let me see. PNG. You'll see I've been experimenting with a lot of these for one of my projects I got coming up. All kinds of ways you can do this, but I'm not going to save it. That's not what this is about. Get rid of that. Go to my template. Get another one. Now then, here's a quick example. You see this is the flow map that's going on right now. Right? Let me open that up a little. While it's kind of small right here, I actually used the particle brush to make a map, then used that map as a flow map. So you can really kind of double up on these things to get some interesting effects. But let's see, I got this map here. Go low first so we can see what's happening. Now I'm just scribbling up and down. You get an idea. You can kind of see what's going on down there, right? Kind of undo that some. Zoom in really close. Now I'm using the shift key to constrain, right? Right. No big deal. Nothing too hard happening. Yeah, kind of interesting. Again, if you just negative this layer here, it's not that effective. So usually I'll drop. Then you can really start seeing what's happening, right? Again, ZBrush Alpha sculpting. That's way too much detail, but you can adjust that with your equalize if you're going to do some things. You start pulling those details out. You get kind of a weird design there, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to undo this, get my layer back. what I want you to see is I could put another layer on here and use a different map. Let's use that thing. Kind of weird. No, maybe not. I don't know. Let's see what it does. So now I've got another layer using a new flow map to control these particles. So you can quickly get a lot of variety in some of this stuff. Right? That's that by itself. That's on top of it. Now let's see what this thing looks like. I'll drop it. Drop all. Pull the blacks up. Blast out those whites. Kind of gives you a plateau if you're doing some sculpting on things. I don't really like that. Play with your gamma. All sorts of neat ways to get some cool effects. I like that. Let's see. Now zoomed in like that, again, all these tiny little details won't be that useful in the ZBrush Alpha Sculpt, but for painting, be it Mari or wherever else you're doing your painting in, having these for little stencils can be really neat. I mean, look at some of that stuff. Whoops, go the other way. I mean, good luck painting that by hand. I mean, really, good luck. That's some pretty cool effects. Even it's just as a, I don't know, I mean, a little bit of work, you could probably come up with some really cool little poster ideas at the right resolution. But again, this is just some of the stuff we're doing. Let me see. I'm going to dump that. Let's go get my template. Oops. Alpha. Let's look at a couple more. Now if you look down here, you're going to see some other things. Let me see this one. Let's take a look. Okay. I think it's a little finicky on the program side. It's software. What do you expect? Let's see. We still kind of got the same thing going on here. I think a little too small. Again, this flow map, little quick thing, you go over here, down. The flow map is controlling how much of an effect this grayscale has on the particles. 100%, and they really want to stay in there and follow that. Right? You go down to 0, it's like it's not there. But I'm usually up pretty high on this. Again, depending on your usage, you can get some pretty cool stuff pretty quickly. Let's see, I'm getting another layer here. Put something behind that. Alright, see this one? This flow map here, all I did was went into Google, it typed in black and white patterns, and as usual 500,000 of them showed up, and they don't have to be that high of a quality to get a pretty good effect, as you will see. Let's see what happens here. I've got a new layer and I've got this same brush, same settings, everything's the same, but I can mix and match with these things sometimes. Let's see, what else? Let's look at, that's pretty cool. Again, that's, you got to be real particular about selecting. Again, this is not that big of a job, just to kind of get some weird ideas out. Pretty cool. Get those, turn those off. Let's see what I'm going to show you real quick. Again, let me see. Down here, This thing right here was a alpha map that I already had in Zbrush. I loaded it into Corel, put it on the canvas, and then I captured it, and I now can use these particles to get a variation on that. Again, this black and white image, this grayscale, controls where the particles want to go based on this little flow map. Again, all of these little things will contribute to that, and some of it's drastic. But that's going to be for you guys to experiment on your own. But here, let's say, there's this cool example. You know? Let's see, I'll go in here and just fill this in for fun. Not really paying any attention to anything. Let's say I think, I like that. That's really cool. That's really cool. What I'm going to do, let me see, I'll drop it down. But I want to turn that into a flow map. Right? Not too hard. Yeah? Select all. Where's my library? See this? Capture flow map. Untitled. It kind of works. Boom, I got this flow map now. Let me see, I'll get rid of this. Get my template. Now I got that. I'll make sure I got it. Nope. Go in here. That's my flow map. Now it's a kind of light. Let me see what I can do with the contrast. So basically you can make flow maps and then use your flow particles on top of your flow maps. It's pretty cool stuff once you start playing with it. And to be honest with you, there's all kinds of neat little artistic things I think that are going to be showing up as time goes on, and more artists get this particle brush in their hands. Pretty cool stuff, right? What is it? Drop all. Negative. Play with the equalize a little bit. Now again, you could use this for anything. You could use this for geometry sculpting. Again, the details aren't going to be anywhere near as precise as the image, but depending on what you're using it for, you can get some really interesting stuff. Now, depending on what you're using it for, you can make this into a tiling situation. Let's see, I can just get rid of that. Okay, I can show you how we can use this. We can actually make a tiling image if that's what you're after. Use that in your patterns. Look here, and there's patterns. Down here, capture pattern, define a pattern. So what I'm going to do is define a pattern. Now in theory, I've already got my particle brushes. I've got this flow map in the background. Let's get let me see something a little different. Pretty standard. Okay, let's look at that. See how this goes. Alright, I like it. Now I can capture the pattern. Now I've got my patterns in here if I need one, right? Again, this would just be mainly for your pattern brushes, which I don't use, but what happens is this right here now becomes your tiling alpha. Right? Play with this stuff, yeah. But now you've got a tiling alpha now. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, here we are back over in ZBrush. Kind of show you how I bring in one of those alphas. Show you kind of cool little effects. I've got it over here. You can kind of see it. Oops. Kind of weird. And again, judicial creation will give you a nice usable alpha. This is a little too oval. I need to break that up to get some better action, but you'll get the idea of what's going on. Again, this is what basically 8.2 million, 8.3 million. It's probably enough to get some good details for a bump map or a normal map, right? I often have the surface on so I can not interfere too much. Again, those are just normal. Invert it. Again, I get some pretty cool stuff. And again, you just have to be kind of creative and inventive and have a little bit of a plan with your alphas over in Corel 2015. And you can get some really neat stuff. Right? Again, here's another morph brush is our friend. It's like a cool little eraser. But that's not what really what this is really about today, so but you get the idea. Well, you get the idea. What was that? A standard brush, right? Again, depending on what you're using it for, how much details, like this one, that's just way too much detail down in there for any sort of sculpting. That'd be good for painting or something. But you get the idea, man. The 2015 particle brushes have a good place in somebody's palette if you're wanting to make some good organic shapes and paintings and drawings and alphas, whatever you need. Okay, that's about it. Later.